Cemeteries are often considered haunted due to a number of psychological, cultural, and even supernatural factors. From the violent Mackenzie poltergeist to the mysterious Grey Lady, Greyfriars Cemetery has been the site of some of the most terrifying supernatural experiences ever recorded. But what is it about this place that draws both the living and the dead? Tonight we explore the histories, the hauntings, and the eerie events that make Greyfriars a paranormal hotspot. But be warned, some who come seeking answers may leave with more than they bargained for. So if you're ready to uncover the secrets of Greyfriars, then let the journey to the extremely strange begin. Greyfriars Cemetery, located in Edinburgh, Scotland, is one of the most famous and historically significant burial grounds in that country. Established in the late 16th century, it has been the final resting place for many notable figures throughout Scottish history. However, what truly sets Greyfriars apart from other cemeteries is its reputation as one of the most haunted places in the world. The notion of hauntings, especially in cemeteries, has always intrigued people. These ghostly tales often reflect deeper cultural beliefs about life, death, and the afterlife. In the case of Greyfriars, the stories of apparitions and poltergeists have not only fueled local folklore, but have also attracted paranormal enthusiasts and tourists from around the globe. The cemetery was founded in 1561 on the site of a former Franciscan friary. It quickly became the primary burial ground for Edinburgh's elite, including politicians, merchants, and other prominent citizens. The cemetery is divided into two sections, the original Greyfriars Kirkyard and the Covenanters' Prison, which played a crucial role during the religious conflicts of the 17th century. Bloody George Mackenzie is one of the most infamous figures associated with Greyfriars Kirkyard. His dark legacy dates back to the 17th century, during a turbulent period in Scottish history known as the Covenanters' Rebellion. Mackenzie was a loyal supporter of King Charles II and served as the Lord Advocate of Scotland, responsible for suppressing the Covenanters, a group of Presbyterians who resisted the king's attempts to impose Anglican practices on the Scottish Church. Mackenzie earned his grim nickname due to his brutal persecution of the Covenanters, many of whom were imprisoned, tortured, or executed under his orders. After his death in 1691, Mackenzie was buried in a large mausoleum in Greyfriars. However, his violent legacy seems to have followed him beyond the grave. The legend of the Mackenzie poltergeist began in 1998, when a homeless man broke into Mackenzie's mausoleum to seek shelter. According to reports, the man experienced a sudden and violent supernatural attack, which left him terrified and injured. Since then, numerous visits to the cemetery have reported similar experiences, including unexplained bruises, scratches, and fainting spells. Some visitors have reported seeing shadowy figures or fleeting glimpses of what they describe as apparitions near the Mackenzie mausoleum. These figures often appear out of the corner of the eye, moving quickly before disappearing. Others have reported the sensation of an unseen presence standing nearby or following them as they walk through the cemetery, particularly around the mausoleum. One of the most chilling incidents linked to the Black Mausoleum involves the unexplained death of a visitor who participated in one of the cemetery's guided tours. According to accounts, this individual collapsed near the mausoleum after allegedly experiencing intense feelings of panic and dread. Although the exact cause of death was unclear, it heightened the fear surrounding the Mackenzie poltergeist and led to increased restrictions around the mausoleum. Numerous tourists and ghost tour participants have reported physical attacks while near the mausoleum, and these attacks include sudden bruises, scratches, and even bites that appear on visitors' bodies without explanation. Some people have found themselves being shoved or grabbed by invisible forces. The attacks are often described as violent and sudden, leaving visitors shaken and fearful. Several visitors have experienced sudden fainting spells while standing near or inside the mausoleum. Many of these individuals have described an overwhelming sense of pressure or suffocation just before losing consciousness. Tour guides often recount stories of people collapsing mid-tour, with some needing to be escorted from the cemetery for medical assistance after experiencing these inexplicable symptoms. One of the most common phenomena reported at the mausoleum is the presence of cold spots. Visitors frequently describe sudden drops in temperature when approaching the mausoleum, often accompanied by a feeling of dread or being watched. These cold spots are seen as an indication of paranormal activity, especially in such a historically charged location. Many of the cemetery's tour guides have experienced bizarre and frightening occurrences while leading groups near the mausoleum. Guides have reported being touched or pushed by unseen forces, hearing disembodied voices, or feeling overwhelming waves of nausea or dizziness. Some guides have even refused to enter the mausoleum after having repeated unsettling encounters. In 2004, a bizarre discovery was made during renovations to the Black Mausoleum. Workers found that Mackenzie's coffin had been broken open, and another small coffin had been placed inside it. The discovery of this double coffin was never fully explained, but it added another layer of mystery to the mausoleum's dark history. Many believe that this strange occurrence may have disturbed Mackenzie's spirit further, leading to an increase in paranormal activity. In addition to the Mackenzie poltergeist, Greyfriars Cemetery is said to be haunted by the Grey Lady, a spectral figure dressed in gray that has been part of Greyfriars lore since at least the 19th century. Some of the earliest reports describe her as wandering through the cemetery, particularly around dusk or at night. In these stories, she is often seen gliding between tombstones or standing motionless near one of the cemetery's old crypts. Witnesses from this period describe her as a shadowy gray figure who disappears without a trace when approached. Many believe the Grey Lady is the ghost of a woman who died of grief after losing her loved ones. Sightings often describe the Grey Lady as standing near certain graves, particularly those of children, and she is sometimes reported to be weeping or visibly distressed. In some cases, visitors have heard soft sobbing or the faint sound of crying before spotting the ghostly figure. She has frequently been sighted near the Flodden Wall, which borders Greyfriars. People visiting this part of the cemetery have reported seeing her walking along the wall, usually just as twilight falls. In these sightings, she is described as moving slowly, almost as if in a trance, and she vanishes when approached. Some visitors claim to feel an intense sadness in her presence, adding to the belief that she is mourning some personal loss. The Black Mausoleum has also been the site of Grey Lady sightings. Visitors have reported seeing a faint gray figure standing near the mausoleum, and some believe this could be the Grey Lady. While she is often a more peaceful presence compared to the violent poltergeist activity in the area, her appearances near the mausoleum have nonetheless startled and frightened many. In several cases, groups of people have reported seeing the Grey Lady at the same time. These group sightings are significant because they provide corroboration that adds credibility to the stories. Tour guides, visitors, and locals have recounted experiences where multiple people saw the same gray figure standing or walking through the cemetery, only for her to vanish before their eyes. Such reports are among the most compelling and have been shared widely. The Covenanters' prison within Greyfriars Cemetery is known for its own dark history and reputation as one of the most haunted sites in Scotland. Following the Battle of Bothwell Bridge in 1679, over 1,200 Covenanters were imprisoned in this section of the cemetery under very harsh conditions. Many died due to starvation, exposure, and mistreatment. The prison has since become a hotspot for reported paranormal activity, including violent and unsettling hauntings. Visitors frequently report seeing silent, human-like figures standing or walking through the prison. These figures are usually described as dim, misty outlines of men dressed in period clothing and appear to be watching or following visitors. Shadowy shapes have been seen moving quickly between the old walls of the prison, especially in dim light or at dusk. These fleeting glimpses often leave visitors feeling uneasy, as well as the feeling that they're being watched. People have also heard whispering or low voices around them, particularly in areas where no one else is present. These voices are often unintelligible, but give the impression of conversations between unseen entities. Some visitors have heard faint crying, sobbing, or even screams coming from inside the prison. These sounds are thought to be the echoes of the Covenanters' suffering during their imprisonment. Footsteps have been heard behind visitors, often giving the impression that someone is following them, only for them to turn around and find no one there. And some have reported seeing objects moved on their own, such as stones shifting or small items being tossed. The story of an exorcist who died after visiting Greyfriars Cemetery centers around Colin Grant, a well-known minister and exorcist from Edinburgh. In 1999, Grant was called to Greyfriars Cemetery to investigate the Black Mausoleum and the supposed hauntings associated with the Mackenzie poltergeist. Grant reportedly attempted an exorcism in the cemetery to rid the area of the malevolent spirit. The ritual had reached its peak around 2 in the morning, and 2 skeptical journalists who had accompanied him started to feel that something strange was happening. Photographer Susan Burrell from the Edinburgh Evening News lifted her camera and snapped one final shot of Colin. Immediately afterward, he collapsed to the ground. The journalists rushed over to check on him, and Colin, barely conscious, kept repeating, "This is going to kill me. This is going to kill me." The exorcism proved unsuccessful, and not long after, Grant died of a heart attack. According to some sources, he felt as if the forces he had encountered at Greyfriars had followed him home, and his sudden death added fuel to the belief that the Mackenzie poltergeist was responsible. His death remains one of the more eerie episodes tied to the paranormal legacy of Greyfriars Cemetery. But that's not the end of the story. In the resulting photo, a mysterious dark figure appears behind him, as if peering from a window of the locked, empty church. Susan later told her colleagues that whatever this unsettling presence was, it had been moving when she captured the image. The connection between Voldemort, the infamous dark wizard from the Harry Potter series, and Greyfriars Cemetery is an interesting case of fiction meeting reality. In the real world, Greyfriars is believed to have inspired J.K. Rowling while she was writing the Harry Potter books. Greyfriars is not only famous for its hauntings, but also because it is located near the Elephant House Cafe, where Rowling spent time writing. Within the cemetery, there is a gravestone that bears the name Thomas Riddle, which is remarkably similar to the name of the character Tom Riddle, who becomes Voldemort in the books. It is believed that Rowling may have been inspired by this gravestone to name her character, although the connection is likely coincidental, as Thomas Riddle was a real person who lived in the 19th century. Greyfriars has since become a pilgrimage site for Harry Potter fans, who visit the graveyard to see the real Tom Riddle's tombstone. The eerie atmosphere of the cemetery also fits well with the dark and magical themes of the series, and it adds another layer of intrigue to the location, blending its haunted history with modern pop culture. Greyfriars Cemetery is a place where history, legend, and the supernatural intersect. The tales of paranormal experiences at the cemetery, including those of the Mackenzie poltergeist, the Great Lady, and the spirits of the Covenanters, have cemented its reputation as one of the most haunted sites in the world. So whether one believes in ghosts or not, the story of Greyfriars serves as a reminder of the enduring human fascination with the unknown and the powerful impact of history on our perceptions of the world. As such, Greyfriars Cemetery remains a place of both historical significance and supernatural intrigue, inviting visitors to explore its mysteries and perhaps experience a haunting of their own.